Today is the first Facebook live session of Optima Arthritis and Rheumatology Clinic. And these are all stressful times, but during this time also we needed to reach out to our patients because of two things. One is patients are all in their house. They should not feel that they're abandoned. And second, many patients with arthritis are worried, they're scared that they might be at higher risk of COVID-19. They're worried about the medications that they're taking. They're not able to find some of the medications. So we decided to have this Facebook live session for two main reasons. One is to reconnect with our patients, and second, to also have some kind of interaction with our patients if they have any doubts, to answer them and to give them certain tips as to how to deal with this lockdown. So as you all know, today morning our Honorable Prime Minister announced that the lockdown has been extended for 3 more weeks. Uh, During this time, we thought that it's very important that all our patients understand what is the reason behind lockdown, what exactly is coronavirus infection, because you might have got information from all kinds of sources. And sometimes too much information is also bad. So we wanted to give you a proper perspective from an expert. And that is why today we have invited Dr. Neha. She is an infectious disease specialist, and she is trained from CMC Vellore. Thank you, Dr. Neha, for joining us today. Yeah, Dr. Neha will be talking about coronavirus infection as well as COVID-19. She'll be trying to clear up many of the myths that people have. We also have Dr. Divya. She is a psychiatrist. She is trained from NIMHANS, and she is joining us today to help you know explain to patients about how they can deal with the mental stress that is associated with this lockdown. Thank you, Dr. Divya, for joining us. So, first of all, before Dr. Neha starts off, I want to reassure all of my patients that we are continuing to function during the pandemic. Optima Clinic is continuing to function during the pandemic. Please do not leave your homes. Stay at your home only. We are manning the mobile phones as well as the landlines. We're checking emails. So you can please contact us between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. any day. We are answering patient queries. We are sending medications. We are doing door delivery of medications. We're doing home collection of samples. So if you have any problems, please reach out to us. We are there to help you. And we'll continue to function from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The other thing I wanted to reassure patients is that as of now, I'm sure Dr. Neha is going to speak about this, but as of now, there is no indication that arthritis patients are at higher risk. So please do not worry. The people who are at higher risk seem to be people who are overweight, people who have hypertension, and there are many other risk factors which I'm sure Dr. Neha is going to talk about. But arthritis is not a risk factor for developing corona infection or for developing serious complications due to corona infection. In addition to that, you might be very worried that you are on particular medications. So that also, as of now, there is no research to show that it is harmful. So there has been a lot of data that has become available from China, Italy, and now from US and UK. Until now, we have not found that the medications that patients with arthritis take, that they are really harmful. So now I'll hand over to Neha. And before Dr. Neha starts off, I'd want to ask her the first question that patients have asked. So what is the extra precautions that patients with rheumatoid arthritis have to take in this pandemic situation? Dr. Neha.
So good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me again. So extra precaution-wise, major precautions, since we don't know currently that whether the rheumatoid arthritis patients are at any higher risk, or all the arthritis or rheumatological patients are at any higher risk. So the general precautions remain same for them also. The precautions ideally anybody should take is follow proper hand hygiene, follow proper contact precautions. Yeah, that is wear your mask, wash your hands, be careful when somebody is ill. Strict cough etiquettes are very important. You should cover your cough, ideally in the sleeve or elbow, not using your hands. If at all you are using your hands, try to use your kerchief or a disposable tissue which you can actually throw away. These are the general precautions which everybody should take, and they remain same for anybody and everybody. There are no additional precautions which might be needed for any rheumatological patients per se. But these are, if you are taking them, if you are following your contact precautions very carefully, you are pretty safe, pretty much as safe as anybody else. So yes. Apart from that, I'll continue. We all know that COVID-19 started in December 2019 in China, Wuhan. It is a virus which belongs to corona family. The major thing we must know how it spreads. The major modes of spread are droplet. Droplet is something that actually comes out of our nose or mouth when we sneeze or cough, and these particles remain in air for a certain time, and then they fall down or go away or they die off. So if somebody is actually inhaling these things or actually coming in contact with these droplets, they are at most risk or major risk of getting the infection. Now, there is second mode of transmission, which is not as important probably as this one. That is a contact precaution, a contact transmission. When we talk about contact transmission, how do that occur? Suppose somebody sneezed, then touched a particular surface. Then I go and touch that same surface, and I touch my eye, mouth, or any mucosal surface after touching that contaminated surface. That is when I can get the infection. So, contact transmission has been postulated as one of the transmission, but with emerging data, I mean, we are learning through this proper pandemic. We are learning across it. So, as per the emerging data, it might not in the coming future, it might not be as important as a mode of transmission as it is projected, because there's a recent study in German study that has been published that say that actually this virion, which is actually present on the surfaces, might not be as infective or might not be the very viable virus which can actually transmit the infection further. So, yes, I agree that contact still remains one of the mode of transmission, but major one still is droplet. Somebody sneezes and then you catch the infection. That is the major most uh, mode of transmission currently. Another.
So, Dr. Neha, so if somebody sneezes or coughs, how far away do you have to be to protect yourself? And suppose you're in the same room as a person who's coughed and sneezed, and then you come into the room later, can you catch the virus?
It is ideally 6 feet, which 6 feet distance is where your droplet can go, and a person should remain at least that away from a patient who is sicker to not to acquire that infection. There is data that says that actually aerosol is a smaller particle that is actually produced during certain procedures done in hospitals only. Aerosol can actually produce it, and that aerosol can remain in air for 2.5 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. But then that is the reason we need to take enough precautions and cover ourselves when we are going out. So this is very important, because earlier when we started with the pandemic, when we did not know much, we were saying that probably only healthcare workers are, even I said the same thing, that only healthcare workers need the mask, and maybe it is not that much needed for people around and in the general public. But then now we are learning through this period, and our learning says that since it is staying in the air, it is better to actually protect your face and nose, mouth and nose with a mask when going out in the community.
So one thing I just wanted to ask is that many patients call us and say that they want to buy a mask, they want an N95 mask, or they say that can I have a box full of surgical masks so that I can use it for my whole family? So what kind of mask would you actually advise?
So that is a very good question, because general public community, everybody in your family, a cloth mask is sufficient, because that is sufficient to protect you from any kind of droplet or any kind of contact that you might have. If you're going to buy vegetables, if you're going to buy your grocery, that much is sufficient. You can have 3 or 4 of those. Now there are multiple ways with CDC and even our government is actually promoting how to stitch your own mask. You can make it and you can use it. You can have 3 or 4 of them, and you can keep rotating. Wash it with soap and water. There are certain things you should always be careful while using a mask. Do not, first of all, always wash your hands when you are starting to wear a mask. Once you wear the mask, you should always remove it from the earpiece of the mask. Don't touch the front part of the mask. Then once you remove your mask, you should actually wash it with soap and water separately from other laundry. Then you should wash your hands again. So these are the basic things you should follow, and cloth mask is more than sufficient for general public. Yes.
So another thing that I see is that many patients, as I told you, we are functioning during this pandemic. Also, the clinic is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So sometimes if patients are in a lot of pain, then they reach us directly without calling us. So that time we have to see the patient. So the patients will be wearing a mask, but when we ask them history or when we try to talk to them, they'll just pull down the mask and they will talk, and then once they finish talking, they'll put the mask back up. So is
That's
that
not the ideal way. If we are doing it also, we should remove it from sight, and it is ideal to not use that mask, put it back in a bag, and that's why you should always carry one spare mask later. And definitely we all doctors are doing that. We all doctors will be wearing a triple layer, so that reduces the risk to low. But then it's always ideal if both the doctor and the patient is wearing. While examining, they can remove that mask and wear another one if they should carry one more extra mask.
so? One patient actually who bought a cloth mask was asking that was telling us that he was advised to pressure cook the mask for 5 minutes um,
Simple.
to sterilize it. But as far as I'm aware, you just need to wash it with soap and water. So I want to hear your expert comments on that.
It's true. So soap and water should be sufficient. You just wash it up and that's enough. So
You
pressure
don't
cooking,
need to pressure cook it or iron it or anything like that.
just wash it and use it. Keep rotating, ideally. That's enough. We are washing our hands also with soap and water, and it is enough. So same amount.
So,
And right, yeah.
so you also said that we need to wash our hands and we should not touch our eyes, nose, and mouth. Uh, so, is there any particular type of soap that we need to use? Any particular thing that we need to apply to wash our hands?
Simple soap is fine. Sir. Anything simple soap, water for normal population should be fine.
Okay, so normal soap, any normal soap is fine.
Soap and water is fine. If you're not finding soap and water, and or if you are on the go, then you can actually use your normal chlorhexidine solution or your what hand rubs, which is available in the market. You can use them while on the go, because that time also when we are out also it is needed to wash your hands frequently. 20 minutes 20-second time is sufficient. Your hand rub is also equally effective. Simple soap and water is fine. Any soap and water.
So, with respect to the hand rub, also some of the patients who they call us and ask us to supply a hand sterilizer. So, when we tell them that we have, all of these commercial hand sterilizers, they say no, we want Sterilium only. We want a medical hand sterilizer. So, is there any difference between different hand sterilizers or hand rubs?
See, ideally, there is a difference in the strength of chlorhexidine in each hand rub. For healthcare workers, it is necessary to have certain concentration. But I think if people are on the run, on the go, then anything is fine. I would suggest if you can wash and if you have an option, wash your hands with soap and water, which is a better option always. Because we don't, all the commercial thing, we might not be able to trust to their composition too many times. So if you are very doubtful about the quality and all, just go and wash your hands with the soap and water. That would suffice. And if you are very worried, carry a towel with yourself, because only washing is not important. Drying your hand after washing is also equally important.
So there is one more query which has come in, that fear and anxiety is playing a huge fear and anxiety has increased in a patient because of too much info on WhatsApp group and other social media platforms, and this is affecting people, especially me. Okay, so Dr. Divya is there to address that. She will be talking about how to reduce fear and anxiety due to this COVID infection and the lockdown that has occurred. But overall, as long as we maintain sensible precautions, all of which Dr. Neha was pointing out till now, I don't think we need to worry much.
I think Dr. Divya can take that question.
So, Dr. Divya, do you want to take that question up now only or later on?
I'll take it up later on as I come back when I come to my turn.
Sure. So, Dr. Neha, another thing that many people are concerned about is that, and patients also, when they come to buy medication from us, they are wearing gloves. So they wear gloves whenever they go outside or when they buy any medication. So you said that it can be coronavirus can be spread by touching something and then touching your nose, eyes, or mouth. So wearing gloves, is that a good idea? Should we encourage our patients to wear gloves?
See, wearing gloves is might give you false sense of security sometimes. See, if you are wearing it carefully and changing it when required, it's fine. But then if you are wearing it and then touching everything and then thinking that you might not touch yourself, it is as good as doing it with your hands. So hand hygiene should be something that has to be concentrated on. Wash your hands properly. Use all the steps. Like, I will show you in the towards then what are the steps of hand wash. Wash your hands ideally. Wearing gloves might give you a false sense of security. Do wear them when you are in hospital. It's okay to wear them. There's nothing to say that you wear it and it is going to be harmful. But then you should not be, totally feeling fine about it and touching everything and then not because once if you actually read the data available, so plastic is a surface where the virus sticks for the maximum time. So I'm not saying that it is a bad idea. You should wear it, but then hand hygiene performance should be equally similarly done despite gloves or no gloves. Okay, so it should be carried in a very sensible way. If you are wearing gloves, be very careful and still don't touch your eyes, nose, and don't touch your mouth or face anywhere near your face. You should not go this with the gloves also. Same things apply to the glove wearing.
So the most important thing is that we need to concentrate on washing our hands. If I understood properly, that's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Also, we had many patients, and in fact, one of our staff itself, she got very concerned due to some WhatsApp messages which said that you should not eat chicken because you can develop coronavirus infection from eating chicken. So, is there any truth to that statement?
The whole concern, I think that arises because it came from the market, the meat market in Wuhan. But the thing is, if you're washing your vegetables, washing your food properly, and washing your non-veg and cooking it properly, as far as you're doing that, that should not be a concern. But well-cooked stuff with proper washing, that's you can eat whatever you want.
Okay. So there were some other doubts that patients were asking that should they do daily gargling, twice or thrice daily gargling with hot water? Will that be able to protect them from coronavirus infection?
No, sir. There's no such data stating the same. It might help you having a good voice, but then then I don't think there's sufficient enough literature to state that it will protect you from the virus. Similarly, I heard a myth that person is drinking tea every day just to kill the virus in their tummy, which is not true. Please don't do something like that. It might just give you gastritis.
Okay. Please, anything else you want to add? Please go on. We have another 2 to 5 minutes.
This talk, I would want to convey the most important messages. Hand hygiene should be taught, inculcated into the children. Everybody, elderly, everybody should equally follow it. It is a very important thing to do. Second thing is cough etiquette. Cover your cough. That is very important. If you don't have any access to anything else, just cough in your elbow, sleeve of your elbow. Try to cover your mouth and face like this. If you have tissue, sneeze once and then throw that tissue in that covered lid bin. If you don't have anything and you end up coughing in your hand, wash your hands immediately before you touch any other surface. This is something very important. Social distancing is very important. Stay away 6 feet distance if you are maintaining from a person. Government is actually stressing upon it for a reason. We want to come down on the doubling time of the number of patients. So we want to actually decrease the number of patients who are sick at one given point in time. So social distancing will inhibit the virus spread, and it will inhibit more number of people getting the same disease. So it is very important. the social distancing, cough etiquette, hand hygiene are the most important three, our three defenses which will protect us from the virus. Then also we should listen to whatever government say, help your doctors in, making things possible, because we can't do everything and then anything and everything by ourselves. We need your support. It is very, very, very important that as much as we are trying to help you guys, you should try to help us. And the government, they are actually, India is doing a good job for now, doing a tremendous job for that matter if you compare it to other countries. And we are able to help ourselves to a certain extent. So if everybody helps us, we'll be out of it uh, very nicely and very quickly. So wash your hands in this way. Wash like this, like this, like this. Then you have to do like this. These are the steps you should perform. Make sure you do that for 20 seconds and always cover your cough, maintain social distance, and stay safe.
Thank you, Dr. Neha. That was excellent. So we are doing well. We should continue to do well, and we should hopefully, as a country, we should be able to get out of this corona infection quickly. So Jyoti, a patient is asking that she has sarcoidosis. Is there any extra precaution required for sarcoidosis patients? So Jyoti, I think you joined late. In the beginning, I was telling all the patients that there is nothing to worry about. Patients till now, some patients, for example, elderly people, people who have hypertension, and people who have other problems have been shown to have higher risk of developing corona infection and having serious corona infection. But as of now, there is nothing to suggest that arthritis patients are at higher risk, either to develop the infection or to have serious infection. So we arthritis patients and sarcoidosis patients have to follow the same precautions as normal people. You don't need to follow any extra precaution per se. And that precautions are, as Dr. Neha was telling that we need to wash our hands regularly with soap and water. Soap and water is the best thing to wash our hands with. We need to maintain 6 feet distance from everyone. That is called social distancing. And we need to wear a mask, a simple cloth mask we can wear when we're going outside. So Neha, another question by one of our staff itself actually is asking, what extra precautions should diabetic patients take?
Yeah, diabetics and elderly. See, anybody who is more than 60, who is a diabetic, who is hypertensive, these people are more at risk. Elderly are more at risk as per the literature available. So specifically diabetics, so they should stay away from anybody who is symptomatic. Try going out as less as possible. If somebody is ill, they should actually stay in a separate room probably. And if they develop any kind of symptoms, please seek the COVID designated hospital, go to that particular center and get yourself checked. Don't try to self-medicate, don't stay back at home. The quicker you go, the faster we find an answer, it will be better. So if diagnosed earlier, they will be treated earlier and treated well. So maintain a distance from anybody who's sick is what I will tell them. And try keeping their diabetic status under control. That helps us a lot. And if they develop any symptoms, please seek help as soon as possible.
Okay. So if we don't have any other further questions to Dr. Neha, we can go over to Dr. Divya. For the people who have joined late, Dr. Divya is a psychiatrist. She's finished her training from NIMHANS, and today she's agreed to join us to explain how to deal with the stress that is associated with both the infection as well as with the lockdown. Because now we have almost completed week 3, and there are 3 more weeks left for lockdown. So Dr. Divya, please, can you just take over and tell us some points?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sharath. So this is really a stressful period. It's stressful because it's unprecedented. We have never seen anything like this before in our lives. We don't know what is going to happen. So there is this unpredictability of the situation. And there is this constant worry of catching the illness and fear of falling ill. So all these things contribute to the stress. From a mental health perspective, I would like to talk to our audience, split them into 3 groups mostly. One is people who have been healthy and fit all along and now dealing with this current stressful situation. The second group being people who are ill already with some chronic illness, like either arthritis or SLE or sarcoidosis or diabetes or hypertension or any kind of chronic illness. The third group being people who are already under treatment by a psychiatrist and who are already dealing with the mental health issues. Now, to start with, since the audience, looking at the audience, I'd like to start with group 2, which is people who have a chronic illness already and who are, right now in this particular situation. So already having the illness to deal with, already being on medication, and now currently having to deal with this stress, there is a high risk of this group of patients going in suffering from a new mental disorder or mental psychological problem, or what we call mood disorder or depression and anxiety disorder. So I would like to reassure you, like already Dr. Neha has already told us that we are not at any higher risk because of the current infection, because of the already the chronic illness, but there are certain precautions that the diabetics and hypertensives have to take. So continue your regular medication, follow all the precautions that that has been advised. And I would also like to tell you certain signs and symptoms that you have to watch out for in case you are going to you're dealing with depression or anxiety. So what are those signs and symptoms? One is low mood through the day, morning till evening, feeling low, feeling very fatigued or lack of energy. As soon as you wake up, you're feeling very tired, you're not able to do anything. Losing interest in things that you have been interested in before. You liked music or you liked, talking to people, but you no longer like it. Inability to enjoy those things. Certain activities like losing your sleep, inability to fall asleep, losing your appetite, lot of negative thoughts, what if I fall ill, what if I die. I know most of us are dealing with negative thoughts, but if most of your thoughts are like this, negative in nature, or if you're having racing heart rate, your heart is pounding so fast that you feel as if you're having a heart attack, you sweat, you get episodes of sweating and breathlessness. So all these might be signs of anxiety and depression. So definitely you need to reach out to a psychiatrist for diagnosis and treatment, 1. 2, we have a regular routine, exercise regularly, be in touch with people, talk to people over the phone, talk to people at home about your feelings and fears. That will also help. And most importantly, continue the medication that you were on already. And if you have any doubts, reach out to your doctor and reach out to the specialist you've been seeing already. So that is about people who have been dealing with chronic illness. Coming to the third group, which is people who are already on treatment under a psychiatrist and dealing with mental issues already. So because of the stress, you can have a relapse of the disease, or you can have a new form of disease, like people can develop new anxiety or new depression, or people who already are suffering with OCD might have increased washing of their hands and things like that. So in that case, you have to reach out to your psychiatrist and get the medication titrated, or ask the doctor to change the medications. There is another group of people who are dealing with problems, especially with alcohol related problems, who are regularly consuming alcohol. And now we know that because of lockdown, there is no availability of alcohol. And we have heard of distressing reports of people committing suicide because of these, because of alcohol withdrawal. So what we need to understand is that people who have been on any kind of substance for a long time, sudden withdrawal, the brain tends to get affected. which means that they can develop withdrawal signs or withdrawal symptoms, which can be in the form of tremors of the hands, sweating, palpitations, disturbed sleep, sometimes abnormal behavior and abnormal thoughts. So in that case, it is extremely important that you contact a psychiatrist and get some form of treatment. There are forms of treatment called detoxification, where we give them medications which can help them through this period of withdrawal period. It's extremely important because, like I said, we have heard of people who have committed suicide because of this. So it's very important that if there is anybody who's suffering with this problem in your home, it's easy to treat withdrawal symptoms. So please reach out to a doctor. Now, coming to the first group that I was talking about, people who have been fit and healthy and now dealing with this stress of coronavirus situation. Of course, it's a stressful period. Nobody can be happy and relaxed during this time. So some amount of anxiety and some amount of worry is natural. But please follow the precautions that Dr. Neha has already suggested, and we have been hearing over the TV and in news about hand washing, social distancing, and things like that. So follow those precautions. Now, how to deal with the stress of staying at home and not doing anything? Having a routine is very important. I'm sure it's been 3 weeks now. We have already fallen into some kind of routine. If we have not, please put a schedule and follow the routine, because it's very stressful for the brain to daily think of what to do now kind of a situation. So don't challenge your brain each time. Have a routine. Include some form of exercise in the day. I know you're not able to get out, you're not able to go to the gym that you were regularly going to, but there are a lot of things that you can do at home. Maybe you can follow some exercise group on YouTube or something like that, and do at least half an hour or 40 minutes of exercise. You will see that you will feel much better because the body releases certain happy hormones when you exercise. The third is to cut off from social media for at least some time in the day. This constant barrage of news about how many people have died with coronavirus, where is it going, what can we do, what can we not do, this can be extremely stressful. We need to stay off social media for at least for some time in the day. And it's very important to understand that not everything which comes on the internet or not everything that you see on WhatsApp is true. So there are a lot of myths, there are a lot of fake news. Please, you go to a reliable website, listen to only what your doctors say. It's very important to challenge the myths and not actually believe everything that you read. The fourth thing is be in regular touch with people. If you're not able to, of course, you're not able to go out and talk to people, keep in touch over the phone. Talk about things that are different, don't talk about coronavirus. Don't talk about how many people have fallen sick. Talk about other things. Spend time, use this time to spend with your family. And, we will never get, so much time ever in our lives again, hopefully. So maybe we can use this time to learn something new, something online. That way, you don't feel bad that, you're wasting time. Where are we heading? Right? So these are certain things that we can do to keep our mood and spirits high during these difficult times. Another very important disturbing fact that that has been reported from Europe and other countries is that the rate of domestic violence and marital discord has gone up, which is really distressing. This is probably because everybody is at home constantly, and the marriage, which was already under tension, is under more tension because you're not going out. So domestic abuse has gone up. In that case, if there is physical violence, you definitely need to reach out. Please don't think that you're alone. There are numbers, helpline numbers, Mahila Sahayavani 1091. This is a helpline number of Mahila Sahayavani. Call Mahila Sahayavani and seek help. Do not suffer from physical domestic abuse. And in case there is any other trouble in the marital domestic issues, it can be sorted with marital therapy later. But we know that domestic violence is against the law. Even during this time, police are working. So please seek help. And if you see any neighbors or anybody in your neighborhood, if you hear, any news or anything about domestic, you also can report. So these are certain things from mental health perspective that I wanted to share.
Thank you, Dr. Divya. That was quite comprehensive. And in fact, with Dr. Divya's help, we have made a video in our YouTube channel about how we can protect our mental health. And we will be posting that in Facebook as well. There are several, if you go in that to our YouTube channel and if you see that video, if you click on the details, there are links to various websites where you can do meditation, you can do exercises, you can learn how some musical instrument you can learn. If you have a musical instrument lying at home, you can learn a musical instrument. So there are many things that you can do. So we've had a few more questions come in. So one is by Pratima Haldar, and they're asking that our Prime Minister has asked us to download the Ayush app, which suggests that which will help us to boost immunity. Do you suggest us to follow these steps, and would that help the rheumatoid arthritis patients? So first of all, I'd like to clarify that none of the three doctors in this Facebook live session are Ayurveda doctors, so we cannot actually comment with respect to the same. Being a rheumatoid arthritis specialist, I can tell you that the problem with rheumatoid arthritis is that the immunity is overactive. It is unnecessarily damaging your body. So I would not want to give a patient with rheumatoid arthritis any medication which will increase their immunity. Yeah, in addition to that, even in the coronavirus, what researchers have found is patients do not die due to the coronavirus infection. They die due to the abnormal reaction of the immunity to the coronavirus infection. In fact, they're using medicines which reduce immunity to help protect patients from dying from coronavirus. So I would say that leaving aside Ayurveda or whatever, any medicine, if you tell me, shall I take a medicine which increases immunity? I would say that at least for arthritis patients, I would suggest no. Please stick to your regular arthritis medications and that should be fine. Dr. Neha, do you want to add something to that question? To that doubt?
I agree with you, Dr. Sharad. I mean, see, first of all, as you rightly said that we are not the right people to answer more about Ayush and other things. But then if you are taking some medicine and you're worried about your immunity being low for that per se, it is, please don't worry that much about that perspective. Call your rheumatologist, seek help from them. You can do a video consultation now. It is actually advisable and people are doing it. Staying home is better. Seek help from them. And boosting immunity and all those things, how much sense they make, I'm not sure. I'm not certain about that. But then I think major steps to stay away from all the infection is, as I stated earlier, that should be the major concern. Nothing, no medicine so far has actually told that can, adequately prophylax you or, prevent a general population per se from getting this virus. So stay away from myths as far as possible is what I would say.
So in fact, I saw a post on Facebook where they said that social distancing, meaning staying 6 feet away from everyone, social distancing is so effective that if it was a medicine, it would be called a miracle medicine or a miracle cure.
Agree, totally agree. So that there's a reason that we are going into, almost 1 to 3 months of lockdown, like first 6 weeks and now again 3 more weeks. So if we are doing that much, there's a reason for doing that. If we actually are able to contain the infection in a certain way, that is only by creating distance between two people, people who are sick should stay away, because we still don't know how many asymptomatic carriers are around. So social distancing is the only way that can actually prevent you from getting infection. And secondly, I will say that hand hygiene is very, very, very important. You should not compromise that particular step at any point in time in these days specifically.
So asymptomatic, just to recap what Dr. Neha said, asymptomatic patients mean patients who do not have cough and fever. So you have to stay 6 feet away from everyone, because you do not know anybody, somebody can have coronavirus infection, but still they might not have cough and fever. So that is why you have to stay 6 feet away from everyone. That is why it's called social distancing. Harshita is asking an unrelated question. She's asking with respect to diet and arthritis. Harshita, that's a very good question, but it's not relevant to this Facebook Live. But I would want you to stay tuned for the next week. Next week, we are going to have a Facebook Live session with our expert dietitian, and she is going to tell you lots and lots of things about diet and arthritis. The next doubt is by Abhilash, and he is very concerned about the lack of availability of HCQS. So Abhilash, as I told in the beginning of the Facebook Live, we are functioning, Optima Clinic is functioning from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. During this pandemic, and we are taking care of our patients. For our patients, we have HCQS available for them. So you can call us at any time between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Do not, please, I repeat myself, do not come to the clinic. Though we are open, please do not come to the clinic. Please just call us and we will deliver the medicines home. Okay, we will collect online payment and we will deliver the medicines home. There is another doubt, Dr. Neha, asking whether vitamin C, limb C, whether that can help us to protect ourselves from coronavirus infection.
There's no concrete data to say so. Nothing to actually address that particular thing. Vitamin C in general will not harm, but then there's nothing to say that it will definitely protect you from the virus. So stay away.
So as Dr. Neha keeps insisting, it's mainly social distancing and hand washing, hand washing, hand washing. That is the main thing that you need to follow. So we have another query, that is there, I think we answered this in the beginning, but then again, if I think Dr. Neha can address that, is there any problem with respect to newspapers and milk packets? Should we be concerned about handling them?
The first thing is, newspapers are nowadays made by no-touch technique. It comes out of the machine and printers just like that without any human touch. So the only way somebody can put a virus on a newspaper is your newspaper boy, probably. So, but then there is nothing concretely says that actually it is stuck there and you cannot touch the newspaper. There's no data. Secondly, now there is a question on viability of virus on these surfaces also. We don't know whether the virus that is stuck on the surfaces is actually viable, or it is actually able to give second person an infection. So that question is also still unanswered. So I would say that take enough due precautions, but then don't stop reading newspaper. There's nothing to say that it will actually give you the disease definitely. You just read the newspaper, wash your hands, and that's all I will say.
And you can correct me if I'm... Please tell me.
Yeah, so again, see, I will again say that we know that surfaces hold, virus is held on the surface. Every surface can hold the virus. We know that. From the NEGM study, which was published last month, we all know that. Whether this virus is actually viable, we don't know. Different surface hold viruses for different length of time. Like, cardboard, 8 hours, plastic, 72, they say. Copper, if you talk, they say for around 24 hours, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So these are the timeline, and it might vary from surface to surface. But then, having said that, the viability of this virus is still questionable. The recent German study which has come out is actually saying that these viruses might not be fit enough to give a second person an infection. So again, but then we are too early. It is too early to actually comment on that. So I will again say that make sure that you're washing your hands. If you're very worried, wash the packet. If you are, see, how will you get infection from a surface? You will touch the surface. Suppose this is a surface. You will touch the surface, then you will touch your eye. This is how you will get infection. So if you're touching a surface, wash your hands, then touch your eye. you will not get the infection. So this is something very simple. If we all do, you can actually prevent yourself from getting infection. So touching surface is not a problem. Not washing hands or not carrying proper hand hygiene is a problem. So if you're doing that sufficiently or well enough, you should not be worried about getting infection from all these surfaces currently. Okay, so again, I will emphasize hand hygiene is the way to go, and you should be very, very comfortable. You should feel comfortable if you are doing it correctly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neha. So I think you have answered another question also, which had been asked, which was about how long viruses can stay on the surface. There is one more question for Dr. Divya, that one of our patients who is a small business owner, he is very concerned with respect, he's staring at uncertainty. So he is having a lot of anxiety. So how do you console him, or how do you suggest, what are the things that you would suggest to him?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly. Uncertainty about?
Uncertainty about the future, because the whole country has gone into lockdown, so there is no economic activity which is happening. So that is why that person is a bit anxious. So
Yes, right. I understand. I think it is definitely worrying for all of us. The whole country, I'm sure, right now the whole world is worried about the jobs, about the economic security. So one is whether the situation, whether the worry is in excess to the situation, or the worry is in keeping with the situation. If this is constantly bothering you, if you're not able to sleep because of it, if you're losing interest in things because of this worry, and if you break down constantly, your appetite is affected, then I think you will need professional help. If it's just fleeting worries which comes and goes like everybody else, I think it will pass with time. Once we get a certainty about, once the lockdown is over, and once we get a certainty about the future. But what I would advise you is to, for everybody else, have a routine, exercise regularly, talk to friends, talk to other people who are in a similar situation like yours. For example, your colleagues, find out what they think about the situation. You might hear some words of comfort from your friends, and you might be, able to cope with that. So yes, I know there is no fixed answer for this. It is definitely an extremely stressful situation. But if it is overwhelming, then you need help. If you think you can cope by talking to people, and by doing other things, taking your mind off, meditating, distracting yourself, then as time passes, there will be some kind of clarity for your worries.
And also, thank you, Dr. Divya. That was a very lucid answer. And also, throughout the world, governments are taking care. They're also concerned about the economic hardship of common people. So throughout the world, including in India, they're planning to release a lot of stimulus packages, where they're going to give a lot of a lot of things to businesses to help them to overcome this stressful period. Already, our Prime Minister has announced a moratorium on EMIs with respect to any loans that you have taken. So at least for 3 months, you don't need to pay any EMI, though you'll have to pay after that. So definitely there are other people who are thinking about this, and there are plans to mitigate it, or plans to make sure that it doesn't. I would like to thank Dr. Neha, who is the infectious disease specialist, who helped us to clarify a lot of doubts today. Thank you so much, Dr. Neha. And I would like to thank Dr. Divya as well, psychiatrist, who helped us and informed us how to deal with stress during this very stressful